Good morning, friends. I have been wanting to do this video for such a long time. I just have been busy and I hate giving that reason. But finally, here we are. And this is about how to properly disinfect. So, a lot of communities in Canada, in the States, in different countries are reopening. We haven't reopened in Windsor, Essex, but as more places reopen, I think more people are becoming complacent about COVID-19. Hi, Shelley. Morning. And this is the worst time to become complacent because the disease is still among us. So one of the recommendations that the experts told us when the pandemic started was to disinfect the most highly touched surfaces, areas in our homes. And now, as we're going back to work, we also need to, of course, disinfect the high traffic areas in our place of work as well. So, and that's why I think this is a very important topic. I wanted to share with you something that I discovered, which is the 6 steps to effective disinfectant use. So let me share that with you now. Now, the link to this is, where is it? Let me see. Um, how do I add a link? I'm not finding a way for me to add a comment. So anyway, I'll add that to the comments later on. So here are the 6 steps for safe and effective disinfectant use. Oh, another reason why this is important is because there's increasing numbers of poisoning and other harms coming to people because of the misuse of these substances. So let's follow these 6 steps to stay safe. The first step is to check that your product is EPA approved. EPA is the Environmental Protection Agency in the United States. So, for the most part, this is really applicable only in the United States. And I say that because a lot of the products that are made in Canada and available only in Canada will not be or may not be on that EPA list. So if you're using a Canadian product and you don't find it on the EPA list, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not safe or effective. It just means that, well, it hasn't been submitted to the EPA because it's a Canadian product and the EPA is an American agency. So, what the EPA does is they make sure that the product is effective and safe. That if it makes a claim to kill the COVID-19 virus, that it really does kill that virus. And there are other claims that products make. So the EPA makes sure that when products make those claims, that those claims are accurate. Now in Canada, we have a Canadian Environmental Protection Act registry, but as far as I could tell from the website, they do not have a similar list. So go to this um, link over here, epa.gov/list N, to see, if you want to check a particular product to see if it's there. Okay, this is what that website looks like. If you go to that URL, there's a list of products, and you can search by registration number, by keyword, and so on and so forth. And we will go back to this a little later on. Okay, so back to the 6 steps. That's step one. Step two is to read the directions. Now, this is very important, and this is where I think a lot of people go wrong, is they don't read the directions. Um, and I know that directions are very small. I actually have a really hard time reading them, even with my reading glasses, but you just have to do it. Okay. Check use sites and surface types to see where you can use the product. Read the precautionary statements. So, use sites and surface types means it'll tell you where you can use it. If you can use it in the kitchen, if you can use it in the bathroom, and it also tells you the specific surfaces. Most of the time, like it will say it's only for hard surfaces. So in which case you can't use it for anything, obviously anything soft, like your sofa, your bed, and so on. So read that the directions very well. Okay. And then the third step is to sorry, pre-clean the surface. Okay, and I used to, make this mistake where I would just go and wipe, let's say, the light switches. I would just wipe them with my alcohol and assume that that was enough. But actually, if you can see that the surface is visually dirty, if you can see that there's grime there, visibly dirty rather, if you can see dirt, dust, grime on the surface, then you have to clean that first. Not with the disinfectant, but with something else like soap and water, or just water or something else. Just remove the visible dirt from the surface first. Because if you don't, then the disinfectant may not be able to reach the viruses on the surface, because the dirt might actually be hiding or covering the virus. And so you will not be able to effectively disinfect that surface. Step five is to wear gloves and wash your hands. So this is something that I haven't been doing myself. And actually, it also depends on what kind of disinfectant you use, because most disinfectants are very strong and irritating to the skin, that you do have to use gloves. But if you use something like this that's botanical, then this, I think, you don't have to use gloves, because it's all plant based. It's not going to irritate your skin. But if you have sensitive skin, or you just want to make sure you're absolutely safe and protected, then wear gloves. And then wash your hands after you take off the gloves, or if you haven't been wearing gloves, after you've done your disinfecting, wash your hands with soap and water for at least, and scrub for at least 20 seconds, which is what they have been teaching us to do. Okay, where am I? Actually, I skipped a step. Step four is to follow the contact time. Now, this is very important. Contact time is the length of time that this disinfectant should be wet on the surface. Then you should be able to see that the surface is wet. So let's say you are disinfecting a doorknob. The contact time is the length of time that the doorknob should look wet. And so, how long is the contact time? So, again, this is where you need to read directions. But if you're using alcohol, so remember that they said not everything can kill the COVID-19 virus. So, before the pandemic, the only thing that I used to disinfect, or I thought I was disinfecting to clean my kitchen, for example, was white vinegar. But then when the pandemic started, the health experts said that vinegar is not going to kill the virus. So I was very, very disappointed to hear that because I've been using vinegar a lot. So, what can disinfect? What can kill the COVID-19 virus? It's rubbing alcohol, isopropyl alcohol, like what you see here. Let me just go back to alcohol. Now you will see that alcohol, there's different percentages, and that actually matters. What they recommend is 60%, 70% alcohol. All I could find when I was at the grocery was this 99% alcohol. And well, I bought it anyway because I couldn't find anything else. But the lower percentage, like 60, 70%, is actually better because it's not going to evaporate as quickly as this 99%. Now, I've been looking around to find out what is the contact time for alcohol, and I couldn't really see it. The only thing that I saw, like the closest thing I could see was it said something like 30 seconds. So that means that when I wipe a doorknob for with alcohol, it needs to be wet for at least 30 seconds. If the alcohol evaporates before that time, I need to wipe it again so that it's wet for a total of 30 seconds. So that's the way it works. And the other thing that they said could kill the virus is hydrogen peroxide. Okay? Now, ladies, you might already have this in your home because this is very effective for removing blood stains. You know, if you accidentally have blood stains, get blood on your clothes or your beddings. Now, this I really could not find the contact time for hydrogen peroxide. And it doesn't say either in the directions. The directions don't say how long you have to keep it wet on the surface. It, but the directions tell me that it's for open sores, cuts, wounds, abrasions, and insect bites. So it sounds like this substance is safe on our skin. The only thing I did see was it said like let it bubble up, but if you used it on a blood stain, it will bubble up. But I've used it on my doorknobs and I didn't see any bubbling. So I really can't tell when it has been there long enough. All right. Next, let's take a look at the wipes. Okay. If you read the wipes, okay, it says, now when you're reading directions, you'll notice there's separate directions to clean, deodorize, okay, to sanitize, and to disinfect. And you want to follow the instructions to disinfect. So this says that it kills 99.99% of viruses and bacteria. Okay. Now, to disinfect, allow, see, this is where allow surface to remain wet for 4 minutes. So that is the contact time for this particular brand of disinfecting wipes. So let's say you're on the airplane You're flying and you bring these wipes with you and you want to wipe down a table. It's not enough to just wipe it, right? You have to make sure that the table, that surface that you're trying to disinfect, is wet. It looks wet, it's visibly wet for 4 minutes. So, yes, you do have to time it and you have to stand there and watch it and make sure it's staying wet. Now, what if it's drying up before the 4 minutes are up? You need to take another wipe and wipe it again and be ready to wipe it again until the 4 minutes are up. Okay, very important. So, Lysol, okay. The other substance that can kill the virus is bleach. Okay, I have here a generic brand. Again, this was the only brand that I could find when we went out. Like I have never used bleach in my household until the pandemic, and I don't use it because it has fumes that are really bad for your lungs. But I bought it because I knew that the alcohol and the hydrogen peroxide were selling out, and I just wanted to have something just in case I ran out of alcohol. So let's read the instructions for this bleach. Now it doesn't say to disinfect. It says there's instructions for laundry. Okay, there's instructions for household care, kitchen, and bathroom. So we know that we can use this on hard surfaces in the kitchen and the bathroom. Hi, Laura. Hi, Elizabeth. So, guys, grab your disinfecting things if you want to go along with me. So, the instructions for kitchen, it says with a solution of 60 mils of bleach per liter of warm water, let stand for 10 minutes, then rinse. So, the contact time for bleach, at least for this brand, is 10 minutes. So, if I am going to disinfect my kitchen counter, the kitchen counter needs to stay visibly wet for 10 minutes. So that's whether you're wiping it on or spraying it on, the surface needs to be visibly wet for 10 minutes. Now, if you use a different brand of bleach, can you take a look at your bleach container, take a look at the directions and let me know in the comments how long is the contact time for your brand of bleach? Because I really want to know if it's also 10 minutes. That's a long time to be breathing in the fumes of bleach. So I really would not use this as much as possible. And if you have been using bleach to disinfect wherever, your home or your workplace, let me know how long have you been keeping the surfaces wet? And is that something that you've been following based on the directions on the packaging? Okay. And for the bathroom, it says, okay, wash with a solution. Again, 60 mils of bleach per liter of warm water, then rinse. And let stand 10 minutes again. So the contact time really for this brand of bleach is 10 minutes. Wow, that's a really long time. So remember, if you do not follow the contact time, it's not going to work. You're not going to be disinfecting. So what I've also been using, aside from the alcohol, is this botanical disinfectant called Solugard. And I bought this because I really do not want to use bleach. This is EPA approved. It's on the EPA list of products that can disinfect. It kills 99.99% of bacteria and viruses. So the instructions And it's funny that the instructions are not on the package. Really? Really, Melaleuca? Okay, let me see if we can get that. So I'm sorry, I should have opened that website before we got started, but I forgot. Let's see, what is the contact time for Soluguard? It's taking a while, but all right, here we go. Let me show you this. So again, as you can see, there's different instructions depending on whether you want to just clean, desanitize, or disinfect. Now it says to disinfect, again, pre-clean the surface, spray the diluted product until thoroughly wet, and let stand for 10 minutes before wiping. So the contact time for this, the Soluguard, is also 10 minutes, the same as my bleach. But the difference is that this does not have any fumes, so it's not going to be harmful to people like me. I'm sensitive to fragrance, or people like my children who have had asthma. So 10 minutes, and this one is also 10 minutes contact time. But if I were to choose, I would, of course, rather use this any day than bleach. And then if you are using it on a surface where food will be prepared, then rinse it first with water after you disinfect. All right. Next, oopsie, wrong screen. So the next thing, the next step, so that's contact time. The next step, and we've actually covered this a little bit, is to wear gloves and wash your hands. And then lastly, step 6, keep lids tightly closed and store, especially this bleach, store this out of reach of children. So these things, your bleach, your disinfecting wipes, alcohol, and your hydrogen peroxide, make sure if you have young children in your house that they will not be able to get into it. Again, there have been an increasing number of children getting poisoned because they found these things lying around in their house and they have accidentally ingested it. But for the Soluguard, I'm not that worried about it. But just to be safe, then keep it out of reach of children as well. There are instructions here for first aid treatment. If swallowed, call a poison control center or doctor immediately. So you cannot drink this stuff either, even though it is botanical. So there you go. Those are the 6 steps to disinfect properly and safely. Remember, even if you're in a community where things have reopened, the virus is still among us. So, disinfecting is one of the ways that we can protect ourselves and our families from getting sick, not just from COVID-19, but any other viruses out there or bacterial infections. So, Elizabeth has a comment here. So Elizabeth says mine is Lysol bleach and it says to leave for 5 minutes. To leave the room for 5 minutes while it sits and then rinse with water. I wear a mask and gloves. So Elizabeth, I'm glad that you are leaving. Yeah, you're wearing a mask and gloves, but if the directions say to leave the room, then even if you're wearing a mask, then leave the room because again, that's just how bad the fumes are from bleach. And I'm glad it's only 5 minutes, but even though it's just 5 minutes, you really don't want to be breathing in the fumes. And plus, if you're doing this every day, that adds up. So yeah, Elizabeth, either maybe use something else like alcohol if you can still find it, or like a botanical disinfectant that is listed with the EPA, or yeah, follow the instructions to the letter and leave the room for 5 minutes. Although, if you are not in the room, it might be a challenge to keep an eye on the surface to make sure it's wet, or you can just like apply a lot of it and make sure it really doesn't. Okay, hang on. The fumes are bad, but it was all I could find. So, yeah, I haven't looked lately, and I don't know if alcohol is still not available, but I guess it's still not. But if you want, you can go on that EPA list, epa.gov/list N. Just, oh, I can actually add that here. So that's where you can find the list. They do have some plant-based disinfectants listed on there, and Soluguard is one of them. Okay, just one of them. Right. So, guys, you have any questions? Hi, Melody. I'm glad you could join us. Melody is, I think Melody promotes, is it Watson products? Did I get that right? Are there any botanical based products from Watson that is, you're welcome, Elizabeth, that's EPA approved or proven to kill 99.99% of viruses and bacteria out there? If there are, please do share with us because I really want to promote the idea of using something else other than bleach. Okay. So if there are no other questions, then I'm gonna let you guys go um, and go back to your work, your whatever you're doing, wherever you are. I hope this has been useful. If you're watching the recording of this video, and I'm really curious, do look at your disinfecting wipes and sprays or whatever you use and share with us what you use and what the contact time is for what you use. Okay? Thanks for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.